Okay, May 2nd, 2025. Doc Ellis is so happy to be born now, or living now, even though I'm 83. Got some new lenses the other day, so I'll be using readers for a little while. Okay. But wow, that's amazing. Okay. Uh, Susan, Oklahoma, uh, she works at the post office, had a slip and fall, heard a lot of stuff, and did all the stuff herself and everything else. And it's a C3, don't worry about that. But it was turned down, which is typical of the post office. Uh, and she came in and we tried to help. It's not, you're not going to win that. You're not, even though we don't get paid. We tried something. You're not going to win that. If it was denied, if it's C3 is denied, it's denied. You're going to have to start do something else. But if you're still an employee within the last 3 years, so what we do is that we do a cumulative trauma, and happened to mention the fall, but we put it all together and show that, of course, the fall is the straw in the camel's back, but we just give the history and working at the post office, and then we put all those body parts in the CA2, and then we go to bat and we start fresh. Uh, whoever, if you did it yourself, you had a fool for a lawyer, but most people don't know how to do it. So you came in with a case that's not winnable. Now, also, guys, gals, she said, so second appeal, second denial. Uh, I've emailed my work capacity and RA forms to others. No, 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 no. This is legal medicine. You need a picnic table. You don't email stuff to us. First of all, we're not charging you. Get a lawyer if you want to do that. You've got to come in. You've got to have a picnic table, everything in front of you. This is legal medicine. This is not a runny nose. You don't just email and ask questions and go around. You have to make an appointment, and we will look at it and see if we can help you. But you don't email stuff. We're not your damn secretary. We only got 21 people here trying to cure the world. Get over yourself. And don't blame me that I only have 21 people. Okay? So you've got to follow our rules or no rules. And then we've got to find out what's the duck. Well, the duck is to get your body parts accepted one way or another. The best way now is that you make an appointment. You do not send stuff in. You don't send forms in. You come in, you need to be seen. I don't care if you live in New Jersey. You've got to come in. We've got to look at it. We've got to have all that stuff in front of us in a nice, quiet room and to look at it. We're not about to ever pick up an email and read it, or answer an email, or answer a phone call. You do not phone and get in line for a legal medicine consultation. You make an appointment, and it may take months, because we're not the government. Well, government takes months because they're just slow, but it's because we're taking care of the world. Because no one knows this. There's legal medicine not taught in medical school, not taught in medical residencies, and then there's a bias against anybody that does it. So it's hard to find anybody who knows this stuff. We know it, but it's going to be hard to get in, and you just can't throw shit at us. We won't do it. We will not do it. Now, I thought it was nice that we took a shot at your C3. If I'd known about it, I wouldn't have let them do it, because you're not going to win that. If you want to do that, hire an attorney and let them do it, and then they're still not going to win it. Okay, so we're not going to do something that's not winnable just because you want it, because you don't know what you're doing. We do. If you don't like that attitude, please do not come to Ellis Clinic. Now, the deal is the duck. What's the duck? It's always the duck, not your supervisor. By the way, your supervisor told you to do something. You need to check with that. That supervisor may or may not be right. Your claims examiner may tell you something. Don't trust them. Find out if that's the correct thing to do. Okay. I need my restrictions. Of course you do. That has to be done face to face. That can't be done on a telephone call. Okay, by the way, this sweet lady, I have 3 people proving I'm the #1 asshole. First, my wife said it, my beautiful wife. Said, You're getting paid to be an asshole. Sonny, I'm getting paid to teach it. Second of all, Ken Edwards in Arizona, number one asshole. And then Karen, these are dog tags. She has a Army surplus store. Dr. John Ellis, number one asshole. So that's three witnesses showing the number one asshole. So the number one asshole says, you need to come in, make an appointment, and let's make a war plan. We're going to war here. Okay. Okay, now, here's another one from John from Florida. This is an OWCP, a federal claim. Recently used your service for mild sleep apnea. An Indian lady I was supposed to be shocked when it came back denied. Get over yourself. Get over yourself. You're displeased with Ellis Clinic. You naive fool. I know Dr. Beckham. She does a great report. I looked at the report. It's a phenomenal report. The VA denies everything. Read my instructions to you. I said, if you get a denial, you get a representative and tells you how to find a lawyer. And so you're writing to me that you're displeased with us, then don't come in. If you're going to be that stupid that you cannot read these instructions. We do a nexus report, and we did it well. You're going to win if you go to the Board of Veterans' Appeals. Or, now it depends on where you are. You're in Florida. I don't know what those people are. I know certain states are just terrible. But if you'll go Google VA appeals and Google the word Ellis, you'll see relying on Dr. Ellis support, remand, start over. Dr. Ellis support, remand, start over. But if don't you ever blame us when the VA denies your appeal or said insufficient evidence in federal workers' comp. That's a template. You're just so stupid if you believe that the federal government's honest. The heart is deceitfully wicked. We were raised on Superman comic books, truth, justice, the American way. Well, no. You're going to have people that don't care, and there's always the bias against injured litigant. It's rampant in the VA. It's rampant in federal workers' comp. It's rampant in personal injury. Okay? We just write the truth. Now you're going to have to appeal it. But don't blame me. And they'll say things, now it depends on the claims examiner, it depends on the district medical advisor, but it depends on the person reading it. We also get glowing reports from them too, but you're going to get denied. Now when we send out the report, we tell you what to do if it's denied. Follow those instructions or call us and we'll send you those instructions again on what to do. In VA, that cost will tell you the lawyer to use, or you can get one, or veteran service officer, you appeal it. Now, I don't understand why anybody would appeal it to people that turned you down. Like the people in Florida that turned you down. Why would you go back there again? Because you're going to have to say, well, if we go to the Board of Veterans' Appeals, it may take a year. Well, if you go through the same people that denied you and it takes you 4 or 5 years, it's probably quicker to go through the Board of Veterans' Appeals. Right? So, but if you have a legal medicine issue, you have to have an appointment, and we have to sit down and talk about it. You can't just throw records at us, and especially expect us to do it for free, because we do. Okay? We're not your secretary. You own your claim. You get your records together. We got records of that. So now, don't trust the government. Okay, for instance, the claims examiner said you can't get your records. That's a lie. Sherry, who helps federal employees do their e-comp, that's how you file electronically with the government. You can imagine how easy it is to learn how to do that. Well, we'll walk you through that. So we just check the box, request medical records. You got to stack this thick, double-sided, and send them to us. Not even going to look at them, folks. There's no way the government or anybody else can pay me enough to do that. You've got to go through those records and find the important stuff, like the operative report and MRI results. But a bunch of that stuff is important, but for as far as causation and treatment, we need certain things. And if you'll go to my website, VA appointments, federal workers' comp appointments, personal injury appointments, Social Security appointments, it'll tell you what's important. Okay? We don't need every progress note. We do need in federal workers' comp any time off notes, any forms and measurement time off, because being time off work is a whole nother kettle of money. Very important. All those little forms and stuff you fill out. You darn sure want to make sure your doctor knows how to do that. If not, ask him to refer to a doctor who knows how to do it. Like I'm licensed to do brain surgery, but I refer to all brain surgeries to a neurosurgeon. Doesn't hurt my ego. So let somebody do that. Okay, anything online?
Yeah, so we have Lashawanda Latavia on Facebook. They made me do a second opinion. Is that good or bad? And she follows up with, he asked me 3 questions. That's it. How do I send my paperwork to you?
You go to ellisclinic.com, you fill out the appointment and get your records together and send all that stuff to you. That could be good. It may be bad. It depends on your second opinion doctor. A lot of second opinion doctors, because there's an unconscious bias. For instance, I have a doctor that does VA exams for the VA as a contract laborer, and a company that hires him, for the VA pays. He gets letters saying, you find a lot of more extra things than other people. That's not even a veiled threat. They're saying, we're not going to send you more business if you do that. Now, you ought to get a reward for that, right? You ought to get a gold star. Well done. Helping our vets out. That's because that's the law. The law is to help the vets out. The VA and the federal law are to help the vets and the federal employees out. Now, state workers' comp screws the working man. Depends on what state you're in. Okay? And then, of course, personal injury, like car wrecks, 2 sides are going to be fighting to do it back to back, okay? But federal law and VA law is very fair, pro-veteran, pro-employee. But no one knows the law. No one applies it. And supervisors don't know it. I mean, prosecuting attorneys in federal government don't know the law, and they go to court without knowing it. And in federal court, if I go testify, I have to send the last 4 years of my trial testimony. I send it all. And these dumb SOBs are so lazy, they don't even have a clerk to look up the law, and they don't read my transcripts. If they would have never, I wouldn't be there. Every time I've been to federal criminal court and federal workers' comp, within 15 minutes, the judge has threatened the prosecuting attorneys, usually 3 of them, with contempt and jail. Folks, I'll kick your ass if you don't know the law. My taxes pay your salary. I demand that you know the law and you follow it correctly. And your badge does not scare me.
I'm going to put Tom Major's transcript up on the screen if you want to talk about that.
Where is it?
I've got it on the
slide.
The transcript from your...
Oh, the transcript from read it.
Yeah. Dr. Ellis, you don't think very much of the Department of Justice lawyers, do you? In fact, on your website, you've got some videos and you suggest that you have to kick their ass on occasion, don't you?
No, first of all, when he said that, I went, oh, God, don't smirk, don't smile. Because obviously this guy is ill-prepared, doesn't know shit from Shinola. My God. And I own him. I teach FICA. The head judge and I teach this stuff. I teach this in law schools and medical schools, and this guy has no clue what he's walked into. And he so read it. So I said, I'm going to kick your ass, and I did. Now, the deal was, this lady is a wonderful internal medicine doctor at the VA, from India, female, brown, Hindu, and she's getting paid less than the men. Well, this is woke PC time. And her husband, so they know we're not going to do arbitration. It's equal pay, or we're not going to do anything. And we're not even going to sit down. Well, let's be friends, shakes her hand, and it's swollen. So there's assault and battery charge. Anyway, so that's part of the harassment, because the VA is really bad about harassing whistleblowers. In fact, C-SPAN did a serial for a couple of years ago of how bad they are. Anyway, first thing they did, they changed their hours from 5 to noon to 8, so she couldn't fix dinner for her kids. Now that's just chicken shit, okay? So come in, work for Doc Ellis from 8 to noon. So this Tom Majors thinks, gets a hair up his fanny, that somehow she's breaking the law working for Ellis Clinic on her time off. Now this is beyond me that anybody is this stupid. At least get a clerk look it up. But he just files charges. And so we go in, and of course I eat his lunch and kick his ass, and told him I kicked his ass. It's all in there, if you know. And so, and then afterwards, later, we have the VA has its own office inspector general. Two guys come up from Dallas, OIG, to see Dr. Beckham in my office in the United States of America. I wouldn't mind if this was Russia or China, but this is America. Truth, justice, the American way. Superman comic books, okay? And I'm at a level of pissed off. So I bring him in and said, Dr. Beckham, these guys are from Nigeria. These are fake badges. Don't talk to them unless you're in an attorney's office with your husband there. But I'll talk to him. So I read them the riot act. And when I told him about the swollen hand, as I told you about that 5 minutes later, that you have come in here, that you didn't go back to the VA and see the emergency report to see if that's true or not, means you're a harassment, you're a pawn in the harassment whistleblower, and I'm going to kick your ass, and read him the riot act. Okay? The law's very, very clear. Learn it. Or don't come into my office. Shoot me, kill me, torture me, but don't come into my office unprepared. If you're a federal employee, you better know this shit. So anyway, and thought that was the end of it. Then Tom Majors said, offered her of $500,000, $500,000, folks, to testify against me. And I was very disappointed that she said no. Can you imagine what I would do to that asshole when I get that testimony in front of a jury that this guy from the federal government, this is RICO Act, this is racketeering, this is like mobsters. I'd own his career. So I'm just telling you, you better not do that with my babies. And by the same token, if you're a patient and you want the stuff like this taken care of by the people with these kind of balls, you're going to follow our rules, not your rules. And don't whine and cry if you get turned down. Of course you're going to get turned down. And do not be surprised. I mean, you can look at it. It's a template. It's just an automatic template. They've got to get it off their chart, off their desk, off their file within 30 days. They'll get second opinions, second opinions, second opinions, second opinions. We just waste tax dollars. And you don't even get, in federal, you don't even get to know your judge and jury's last name. They only need a 12th grade education.
Speaking of second opinions, this is a comment from JJ on YouTube. Hello, I've been on WCP temporary total disability for 3 years now with 2 back surgeries, possibly a third. Recently had my 6th second opinion, and this time the doctor said I can go back to work. All the doctors I've seen, including my doctor, have said I should still be on temporary total disability. What can I do? I do have FERS on hold.
No, go ahead, since you're still a federal employee, go ahead and get your FERS and put it in your safe deposit box. It's just something to fall back on. For instance, when you're on temporary total disability, you get 75% of your pay tax-free if you have dependents, or 67% if you're single. FERS is 40% taxable, okay? But I had a person once that I'm taking my FERS because every time I see the Department of Labor on an envelope, it takes 10 years off my life. I said, okay, do it. Okay, but so go ahead and get that done while you're still a federal employee. It's office personnel management. It's a totally different deal, okay? So you get another opinion, and you appeal it, and you appeal it, and you appeal it, and you appeal it, and you just never give up, because it never ends. There's no end unless your doctor gives up. Now, obviously, that guy that said you could go to work, then your doctor needs to fill out a form CA-17, which is all your abilities, and put down what you can do. For instance, I got a guy, a postal worker, age 60, on a walker, hips, knees, and ankles are approved. He's walking on a walker, and getting 67 and 75% of his pay tax-free. The nurse case manager, who's a whore for the government, wants him on FERS at 40% taxable. That's just satanically evil. Okay? I said, that's a good idea. That'll save post office a lot of money. Why do you be that stupid? Well, they don't like it. They're not a law. You hired under 1916 law and said if employment factors contribute to the slightest amount is covered and it aggravates the pre-existing slightest amount is covered. In other words, you have VA, it's aggravated work, post office, you get them both. Okay. But your doctors don't know the law. So they sent him to 3 second opinions at between $5,000 and $10,000 a pop, $15,000 to $30,000 waste of time. And they said he could work. I agree he can work with these restrictions. Since I am a treating doctor in federal, you get to pick your doctor. So it's worth coming from New Jersey. Or you have your doctor say, I'm asking Dr. Ellis for an occupational medicine consult. And I will fill out the form. And they don't have to worry about that. They don't have to worry about a government agent coming in and harassing them. Let me do that. Because I love the war. Okay? And so anyway, so these restrictions, post offices, we don't have a job like that. So he stays on it. So there's probably, if Congress, before I die, you need to get me in front of it. Now, first of all, the way you save yourself 20% right off the bat, before you can get a second opinion, he's had this many surgeries and they're getting second opinions about return to work. Now, that's beyond stupid. I mean, that's just outright fraud, harassment, evil. And you've got this claims examiner getting more second opinions. I've got one of our guys comes in the emergency room in a coma, and this bitch fought brain damage. Finally found a neuropsychologist. There aren't very few of those. In Wichita, because I drove him up there, and of course he's finally got his brain damage covered. But it took 2 years. That's just fraud. That's that bias. If you guys think you don't have a bias, I mean, it's better to be a black man at a KKK meeting than be in federal workers' comp or VA disability. It's that bad, and no one believes they're biased.
We've got a comment here from It's That Time on YouTube. Are you able to give a IMO of hypertension secondary to PTSD? He follows up, can you write an nexus letter, independent medical opinion connecting?
Oh yeah, there's case law and there's medical literature for that. I mean, and so then it's the opinion of the doctor. But that's the problem. Most doctors have a tough time doing legal medicine. Because we make an assumption and we go get a lot of stuff together and then we finally make a diagnosis. No, with the facts you have in front of you, it's all hearsay in medicine, by the way. If you're thought because you've got the white coat on, that's what an expert is. You have a white coat. If you're an engineer, you're an engineer expert. Then that's covered. I love to tell the story. Person goes on a trip. Endemic for hepatitis A, doesn't have a shot. 21 days later, his friend sends a letter to his wife, Joe's got yellow eyes. What's your thought? Well, he's got hepatitis A. That's hearsay of hearsay, but that's medical evidence. And your diagnosis of hepatitis A is correct. Then you get a CAT scan, he's got a common duct bile stone that make the jaundice go up into this bloodstream and make his eyes yellow. Because that's the yellow eyes of jaundice. And that's your diagnosis. Then the test comes back, and he's got both the stone and hepatitis A. At each point in time, that's reasonable medical certainty, more likely than not. Okay? So that's what it is, but doctors don't know that. And after I teach them, they go, my God, I've been screwing people for 30 years. Yeah, you have. Now, it depends. Now state workers' comp's different. In Oklahoma, it's got to be 51%. A lot of people that I would accept as a patient for federal and VAs, if it's state workers' comp, I said, no, you're not going to win that. I'm not going to charge you. Okay?
So we have here Charlie Reed on YouTube. Hello, Doc. Can I get an updated impairment rating even though I'm receiving compensation currently? It's been 2 years since the previous one. My pain has increased, and now they recommend a total knee.
Well, sure. It depends. It'd be either VA or federal, yeah.
So what's the process with
You go to ellisclinic.com, print out the appointment, fill out the records, send it in, we'll call you and make you an appointment.
Now, it's that time as responded while you were talking, or does a psychiatrist have to write it? Can I send you my medical records on a flash drive, or does it have to be in paper form only?
Think about it. I got 21 people. You think we're going to pull up a flash drive and print it out for you? Yeah. Take control. It's your case. Give me it in paper. I'm not going to look at a screen. I'm not going to look at. You cannot do one screen at a time. I've got to have all that stuff in front of me. If you don't want to do it in paper, don't do it. Don't send me screenshots from your phone. It's got to be readable. And don't complain that you don't have a computer. Find a grandkid and get it done. This is legal medicine. You want to get this thing in front of the guy that's helping you, and clear and concise so they can look at it.
All right, we have here from Tona Berry on Facebook. Can you explain how FCE helps the OWCP patient when we're already on total temporary disability? Please and thank you.
No, it just hurts you. It may, because it depends on who's doing the FCE. If they're an honest person, they may come up with logical restrictions based on what you could and could not do. But I've seen FCEs are just done to screw the working man. Just because someone's a white coat and they've got a degree in medicine or physical therapy doesn't mean they're honest. Yeah.
All right.
But now, return to work and FCE is a great thing. I appreciate FCEs.
We got Sean Bailey on YouTube. Hi, Doc. I can't wait to see you guys. I mailed my information to you, and I'm just waiting. Thank you so much for what you do.
So much what?
He says, I can't wait to see you. I mailed my information to you guys, and I'm just waiting. Thank you so much for what you do.
Okay.
Just a comment.
Oh, well, that's nice. Thank you.
Now, we have JJ on YouTube again. Okay, I will ask my doctor to refer me to you. Thank you very much. I'm still in pain, but I suck it up to live a little. I have a family.
Yeah, so just say occupational medicine consult. And he stays your treating doctor. Then if he agrees with my opinion, he can make that his opinion. Based on what Dr. Ellis said, I agree with him. Then there's two of us.
Here's a
And also, like if you're trying to get surgery and you can't get it, send it to me, and if I agree, you'll have two opinions. That's harder to find. And then if that doesn't work, if it's federal, we do an oral hearing. And that's common sense. Now, let me tell you something. Once you get in VA, Board of Veteran Appeals, the judges or lawyers, they know the law is pro-veteran, and they're just honest as they can be. In federal, the Employee Compensation Appeal Board, just as honest as they can be. And every time I've done an oral hearing, the oral hearing officer knows the chart backwards and forwards. It's as if it's a Supreme Court for them, and they're just as honest as they can be. And that part of the system works well. But we could stop these claims examiners. What you do, you say, before you can get a second opinion, you have to go through a committee of 3 people. And then okay? And that would make a difference. I remember years ago, this happened to be state, and the malpractice, the firm that did all the malpractice for Oklahoma, was bragging that they're taking 95% of the cases to court. And I turned to my buddy and said, they're padding the bill. There's some cases that need to be settled. And they're bragging about it. And doctor, yeah, go after them. Yeah, no. Let's be pragmatic. Let's just call it like it is and be intelligent about this stuff.
So we have here a follow-up from It's That Time. I will do it in paper form, no problem. My medical file is about 6,000 to 9,000 pages. Is that okay?
You won't even get an appointment. We won't even send them back to you. You go through them and give me what I need. I don't need 6,000 pages. If you're that sick, I just need the opera report. I need the MRI reports, the X-ray reports, the surgery reports. I don't need everything. I'm not your lawyer. I'm your doctor. I need the medical stuff to make a medical opinion.
Talk a little more about that and how they can better understand what is relevant.
Okay, so you're in the hospital for 60 days. You're going to get a summary, discharge summary. That's all I need. And maybe an operative report to show, like you had shoulder surgery, and it'll have a diagnosis on it. But I don't need every nurse's note every time you went to the potty. I don't need that. And so if you don't know, get somebody to help you. Otherwise, we're going to send them back to you and say, go get a law attorney, put it together. We cannot do that, folks. We're not charging you for it. We cannot do that kind of stuff. We can't do scut work for free.
I think
There are
there's
people begging for these appointments.
I think there's an important distinction here you can make, is why you're looking for specific things as to where, a lawyer's going to have to go through everything compared to you, and why a medical opinion, how it reflects in the courtroom.
Very good. Thanks very much. Okay, for instance, if I were testifying in a malpractice case, I want everything. I want every piece of paper. And I'm going to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. But in fact, I don't need anything. Okay? If you've had back surgery and I see a scar, that's enough. I can grade it. Speaking of back surgery, this is a state workers' comp. An old roughneck, old oily guy. And I asked him, have you had back surgery problems? No, pull the shirt up. You've had 2 back surgeries. I see 2 scars here. He wasn't faking, folks. He's just a good old roughneck. Okay? So if you're a man, bring your wife, because you're not going to remember this stuff. For instance, here's another case. I was at a daughter of the American Revolution, and I got a quilt of Valor's. Wow, made me cry. I cried the whole time. These ladies in Clinton, Oklahoma, have been doing these quilts of valor for veterans overseas and stuff. Okay, wow. Anyway, and I'm talking to a guy, and he's talking about his VA. I said, do you have sleep apnea? I think, and I turned to the wife, I said, does he stop breathing at night? Yes, you have sleep apnea. Now, what I would do is, based on the wife's observation, it's my medical opinion, it's more likely than not it's sleep apnea. I would recommend a sleep study to confirm the diagnosis. But that's enough to get it started, and then the VA will do the sleep study. You don't have to go spend money on it. But if I had a doctor once said, well, I need all the records together. No, you do not delay. We need to get them in. Every day you delay, they're losing money. No, I had a PA for 2 months. Said, you're out of here. You don't believe these people, and you're not that smart to begin with. You've got to be an advocate, and it's not. Most people aren't. I understand that. And why would a doctor be an advocate and put his medical degree on the line? I just like war. I loved Vietnam, and I hated it 100%. Yeah, I just love war.
So to clarify even further, is the reason that you don't need all 6,000 to 9,000 pages is because if you can tie it together based off of your medical knowledge, it becomes your expert opinion,
right,
and they can't refute it.
Well, they'll deny the sky's blue. I mean,
but when it comes down to it, the problem.
Right. Also, for instance, if you have no records for VA, that's phenomenal. Like a bunch of them burned up in St. Louis. So you just tell me what happened, and I put it down. And no one has records in basic training. No one's. You're going to have broken metatarsal, fractured toe, and you're not going to go to the doc because you get KP, and you're going to get, DI is going to come after you. And besides the fact, then you had more testosterone in brains. So, like as a flight surgeon, I never saw a pilot in my office except for a flight physical, because they're afraid of getting grounded. So I see them all at the bar, at the officers' club. Well, my friend, I said, tell your friend to take this and go to the office clinic and get it. Okay. Because I'm not going to give an antihistamine to a pilot, but Sudafed for a runny nose, and you have to take care. You have to be practical. Yeah.
Well, we have a follow-up from Ashwanda Latevi on Facebook. How can I send my paperwork to you?
Follow the ball. You pull up the record, see what it does. It says mail, not email. We don't have time to download emails. Send it in mail, and then you'll get looked at.
All right. We have Demetrius Hill on YouTube. My OWCP claim, lumbar radiopathy, was accepted, and I was placed on sedentary duty. Then, after receiving an MRI, which shows 3 herniated discs. Should I switch to permanent disability or continue sedentary? Also, I mentally diagnosed with PTSD before my work injury, and DOL denied it has been aggravated, even though my psychiatrist has diagnosed it was aggravated by being on the job.
Well, the psychiatrist can send his or her report to me and request a occupational medicine or legal medicine consult, and then I'll confirm it and tell them how to file for it, because it's a certain form, a CA, I think 35H or something, and you file it for them. And by the way, and while we're on that, if you have a psych claim and you're working for the post office, they won't video you anymore. You don't get any money for it, but you get unlimited treatment because you don't get an impairment rate or a scheduled ward for heart, brains, or spines, because you don't need that to work for the government. No, the reason is it's a 1916 law, and so what's a schedule award in federal? A cutoff finger is a schedule. So you might have a little teeny disc in your neck and 100% of the arm from the nerve. Or you can have a fusion in your neck and broads and can't move your neck, and you would rate it with the diagnosis and the range of motion and all that stuff and the nerve down the arm. But on federal, you only rate the nerve down the arm. Okay. For instance, we had a guy worked at Tinker, a print shop. They opened a 55-gallon drum of toluene, which is basically sniffing glue. And within a day or two, his brain is shrunk. I mean, he's gone. And his wife has to hold one arm, and he has to use the other arm to hold the wall just to get down the hall. I cannot rate his brain damage. In any other system, like personal injury, it's 100% just for the brain, just right off the bat. But I rate the weakness and numbness and decreased muscle strength of all 4 extremities, but I can't rate the brain.
So let's talk a little bit about the process of getting a referral to you from another physician. How does that work?
A formal letter that's 8.5 by 11, and we can send it with the report is very valuable. Get in the mindset of a claims examiner. You've got this formal letterhead. I'm referring you for a legal medicine consultation or an occupational medicine consultation, and that just bumps it up. That just takes it to something she can just throw on the side. That just bumps it up. Just like if you have a union representative. They may not know anything about it, your lawyer may not know anything about it, but having that letter to you and to your representative, it just bumps it up a little bit. And so if the claims examiner is on the fence, it may bump it, and it's worth the money. It's worth your dues. Okay? Plus, you get at least talk to your union rep and complain that you're not alone. Yeah. When you come here, you'll see a map of the United States going, I'm not paranoid. They really are out to get me. So anyway, you just go to the appointments and get whichever one you want, and just follow the instructions.
So just to clarify, with a referral from
they can write it on a little prescription note. Just
okay.
And usually you just ask the PA or the office manager to do that for you, and the doctor will say absolutely, because it's free to you. It's free. The doctor doesn't have to pay me anything. It's free. And except for the having to write it out, and he's not going to be audited. He's not going to be. No one's going to depose him. He's just asked for a consult. Yeah.
Right.
And let me take the heat.
So JJ here from YouTube followed up with, "Sir, God bless you."
He does.
Yeah.
God, I love this. God help me, I love it so. That's my favorite line. Well, second favorite line in Patton. First, I was called to do this, and I am called to do this. We're called in everything. Everybody's saying they're calling what you call. Everything's a calling. Everything's a God deal, folks. All right? But I just love war. I mean, I love battles. And so, federal employees, you better know this stuff. Okay?
So let's digress a little for veterans on here, because I think this is something that a lot of veterans don't know about, and it is about the conditions that when you pass, provide your spouse.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, first of all, I was at War Memorial in Edmond, and remember Nam and all the stuff my wife and child went through. And the Lord spoke verbally. Normally, the Lord speaks quietly. You read a verse here, so this is verbal. He said, "Help the vets out." I said, "Okay. Okay." Now I've become the guru in VA. Okay. Uh, what we don't do, and I've been doing VA exams for 3 years, and I finally thought I ought to check my audiogram as a flight surgeon in the Army, deaf in one ear, so any damage to this is going to be a lot higher. Well, I was 20% impaired when I left the service. Well, I'm going to file for that, give that money to my wife. Now, if I die of a heart attack, my wife would get a pension because tinnitus and your ear contributes to hypertension, which contributes to heart attacks and strokes and peripheral artery disease. Yeah, it contributes to sleep apnea. Well, there's both case law, which is the rules, and also I got a whole bunch of literature showing that, a lot of literature on that. And so, yeah, and then PTSD contributes to hypertension and strokes and death. Yeah, and so, can you imagine the fun of helping a widow out or a spouse and getting them service-connected death? If it's service-connected, and it's not, it's okay. For instance, you could even write to the state coroner and say this veteran also had tinnitus. Would you put that on his death certificate? It's not cause, but there's a little place. Other conditions, hypertension, tinnitus, and you put that in there, and the VA, that's enough in the VA. Because the law, when the Congress passed the law for the federal and the vets, they knew the federal person and the vets taking on the federal government, it's going to be on, the burden's on the government, not on you. And yet, in practice, it's just a total antithesis, opposite of that. Yeah. And your supervisors don't know it, they have an attitude. Um, for instance, uh, I'm talking to the American Legion right now. Okay, I'll talk to them later. But anyway, I was going to run an ad, and they said we can't, about bullshit. And let's do your next word. You're in competition with this. Well, no, I'm not in competition. You're doing the American Legion and all those people have VSOs, Veteran Service Officers, that are approved by the VA, VA approved VSOs, and you always want to go to one of them. And you always want them to file the stuff electronically. You never want to do this yourself. And it's free. Or and each state has its own commission, VA commission. It's free. You do that. No, I'm not in the competition, but what you don't understand is you need a nexus report and a VSO. And you need a nexus report more than you need a VSO. You have to have a nexus report by a doctor who puts it in, because this is VA law. You have to have a nexus report. So this is a federal employee out of Ohio, who his job is to go to each state and train the raiders because they're not well trained, because there's no class in this. Okay? And he said, you've got to have a nexus report. It's the most important thing in a VA claim. Came all the way from Ohio for Dr. Beckham to do it. Of course, we talk politics. But that's interesting. You've got to have them both. So I think we're coming out in the VFW in July, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
All right, we have here from It's That Time Again on YouTube. Doc, can you do an access letter plus medical opinion showing flat feet was aggravated by service?
That what?
Flat feet.
Oh, absolutely. So you have, let's say, have fallen arches before you go in. If they're going to get worse running around in combat boots and you're wearing a pack. That's not, it's not the major cause, but it is. That's a no-brainer. And then now, if your feet are aggravated, then that's your knees later on in life, your hips later on in life, your back later on in life, and your hips. It wouldn't be in state works comp, wouldn't be in personal injury, wouldn't be in criminal law.
All right, let's take this question from Tuna Ferry again on YouTube. So how would you combat the FCE results since you are my doctor?
I wouldn't combat them. I just to see what they said, and if it's just pure fake, I get another one.
Right. We have Brian Roberts from Facebook. I've tried to hire you before, never received a response. I guess it determines on how he tried to hire you.
Well, if you sent records in a form, we apologize. If you didn't send the appointment protocol, then kiss my ass.
And your employment, your
You go to VA, you go to click it, appointment protocol for VA, Federal Works Comp, FERS, Social Security, personal injury, whatever. Okay, you fill out the form, you send it in. If it's not on the form, now, it may have also gotten lost, Ghost. We got a lot of stuff coming in, and I apologize for that. But I only have 21 people working, and the actual number of people actually working on the records are just a handful. And we're taking on the whole damn world. Proud girls will do as well as they do. Because they all care. Oh, my Lord, have mercy. Because if I was in horrible bosses, I would win. Because I'm a horrible boss. But they stay because they get so much love from our vets and from our federal employees. Yeah, they're very appreciative. By the way, if you're not appreciative, you get fired. I mean, you come in bitching to me, we're deciding whether you're going to stay a patient. You know?
So what's the process once they get in and you're just, how does the exam work?
So that you come in, we do an exam and write a report.
Okay.
And like one of our did, well, I got turned down. Well, of course you got turned down. It's VA. You naive person. It says it right in your instructions. If you get turned down, which is very common, you go get yourself an attorney or a VSO. And you're writing to us you got turned down as if we're God? No, we're not. We're just one little step in the process. A big step, the best important step, but we're not going to win. When we get approval, it's almost a miracle. But it eventually gets approved if you don't give up. Who was it? Someone said, you said you always win, and no, you quit. And then he's very gracious on the website, on the webinar. And so he came in and we did it. And he got on the website. Well, you're right, it's me. But we got it.
Yeah, I don't remember who, but they.
Yeah, but a very gracious guy to say, yep, it's me. Which is,
well,
that's
easy,
big.
Easy to want to give up.
Well, no, you don't give up. But the reason now, if you're in Russia and China, you wouldn't even try. You just say, try not to get killed.
Yeah.
Try not to go into the gulag. But our laws are really fair.
So we have here from Butch McCoy on YouTube. Vietnam vet, service connected for peripheral neuropathy along with IHD. VA wants to severe neuropathy informal conference upcoming. Am I doomed or have a chance in retaining rating? Thanks for all you do.
Oh, no, you be sure to go. You have a good chance of staying. Yeah, it depends who they send you to. It depends on that person.
Talk a little more about what an informal conference is.
They're just asking your history. Yeah.
Right, and it being informal.
And it depends what state you're in and the morale and the way people do stuff. Some Muskogee's pretty middle of the road, pretty fair. Some states are just awful. I mean, they'll even hold records, which is unconscionable. Like I got a call from a raider out of St. Louis. Oh, Dr. Ellis, you're so wonderful. You give us a concise history and you tell the story and you look up the codes and you give us the percentage, which really helps. And then your nexus report, your causation report, just makes sense. We wish other people were like you. I said, lady, don't say that out loud. You'll get fired.
All right, we have here from Demetrius Hill again on YouTube. How long can I be on OWCP before I'm sent to FERS or terminated by USPS, being I have 3 herniated discs?
You're on temporary total disability until you die. State workers' comp is months, okay? But until you die. You don't have to take FERS. Okay, but you can if you want to. But you go ahead while you're in there. Go ahead and come in for $500. We'll get you a FERS report. So it's there if you need it. And now you may be terminated as a federal employee. You still get your insurance and all that other stuff, but you stay on until you die. Very, 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 very ridiculously fair.
Well, the law was written with the federal worker and on the veteran side, the veteran in mind.
Well, yeah, the first workers' comp law is 1916 is federal workers' comp, and obviously Jesus and the Congress realize you're taking on the federal government, the employee or the veteran wins. Yeah.
So, talk a little more about the precedent that they give individuals to find their own providers in federal law.
They don't tell them anything because no one knows anything.
Well, but the law as it's written allows the federal workers.
Oh, yeah, you
to
get,
select
the
their
only,
own.
there were couple little tweaks that don't make any difference. But in 74, the law, you get to pick your doctor, and by law and case law, following up the law, your doctor's report has more probative value. So if you were in a car wreck, and I was testifying on this and other, but it's an equal deal. In federal, it's not, it's this way. And I determined return to work, I return your restrictions and everything else. So I would recommend, if you are in litigation, which is VA, federal works comp, car wrecks, or anything else, when you go see somebody, you turn your cell phone on, put it on silent, and record it so you'll know exactly how long you're there and what was said. Now, you can't use it against them, but it'll help you when you write your critique. Now, if somebody ever buys us, I don't know if we ever will, probably just keep growing, because I don't know if there's anybody out there that I would trust with, okay? There's a Bible verse called the deceitfulness of riches. If anybody offered me money without coming and spending a week with here, I wouldn't talk to them. Because no one's done what I've done, no one's doing what I'm doing, and no one has seen what I'm doing. So if you think you know this yet and you're an investor, you come in, and if you fly in and you've got a ticket for the late flight out the same day, I'll tell you go home. Now that sounds arrogant, but it's the truth, because no one is doing federal workers' comp correctly. They're hurting people, you're harming people. And so I cannot turn this company over to fools, even though you may be a multi-billionaire company. I've got to have people that have integrity and balls and are willing to put it all on the line for a patient. And there's not many people like that. Okay?
Well, we're in the last couple minutes here. Was there anything that you'd like to say?
No, I just love having this. This is my hobby. Love having it. Love doing it. I would, I'm always surprised I don't have a bullet hole in the back of my head every day.
You recently received a quilt.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a tearjerker. The Daughters of American Revolution. The five of us Vietnam vets got this quilt of valor, and these people in Oklahoma, ladies have been, this is their 6,005 quilts they've made so far. Can you imagine being in Iraq at 180 degrees and getting a quilt? It's still going to make you cry, because it's quilts of valor. So anyway, so got that, and that was a blessing. And because my wife had been dead 2 months at that time, because she's the one that did it, that helped us through Vietnam. Once a month, she'd send me a Hickory Farms care package, the crackers and the salami and the cheese. I had more friends first day of every month, first couple of days of every month. But man, I couldn't keep a dry eye on that place, yeah. And I appreciate the honor. In fact, that's my little badge from it, yeah. I'll wear that.
Well, if you'd like to have your questions answered at the beginning of next month's live stream, again, first Friday of each month at 11 a.m. Central Time, you can go to AskDocEllis.com and submit them there. We do have one last comment, two actually that came in. Demetrius Hill. So you can be terminated from federal employment due to a work injury?
You're unable to work. You're not able to accommodate you, and they can terminate you, but you're still a federal employee. And you still have your health insurance and all that stuff. They don't have a position for you.
What is the?
But they may be careful. They may try to trick you and say you're terminated. That's not true.
So So we've got here, it's that time again. What is the earliest appointments you have available? Date, that is.
We're months out, folks. I'm sorry. That's it. Okay. There's prayer request. Let's. Maybe there is. I'm talking to a couple of companies. There is a company that would infuse a bunch of money into here so we can have a medical or service that does all the other stuff, and we can focus on our legal medicine and hire more people and train more people and provide more services. That would be a good thing. But I'm telling you, I'm not going to take any just because you got a couple $1 billion. I'm not going to pay attention to you. That someone called me at Assembly Financial. I said, get rid. You come in and see what we've got before I send you financials. Don't you know I've got it all in my Dog and Pony Show? You've got to come in here, investors, and see what I've got. I'm not going to discuss whether or not you do. So, folks, when I did the Bible Library, I turned down IBM. They weren't big enough to talk to me. If you think some people are arrogant, you've never met a more arrogant person than I am.
And just for reference on camera, over your right shoulder is the Bible library that he's speaking
Yeah, okay. I'm the first and largest seller of Bible software, okay? I was 88 and did it in 8 months by myself and Gary and practiced medicine full time and put that together. In 89, Hitachi invites Bill Gates, Microsoft, Grower Encyclopedia, Map Company, and Ellis, the Bible Library, the only 4 electronic publishers in the world in 1989. And about the future of CD-ROM. And of course, they paid me an honorarium and all that stuff. And I'm last. I said, ladies and gentlemen, got my white coat on, MD on it, Dr. Bible guy. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to piss on this campfire, the cussing Christian. Boy, you can feel the daggers from Microsoft, from Gates and Hitachi. Okay, let me explain it. It's going to take 5 years before this thing takes off. Right now, a CD-ROM's about $1,000. A personal computer's about $8. When it gets under $3,000, it'll become a game machine for teenage boys. I'll sell my $600 Bible library for $19.95 like a Ronco Vegematic. You'll sell that $2,000 encyclopedia for $39.95 like an Earl Scheib paint job. And they're both talking, singing, being color. Woo! I was not popular. 5 years later, in October, built in CD-ROMs. Now, I understand people having a tough time listening to a doctor as a businessman, especially when I call myself a hick doctor. But let me tell you what, I'm probably the smartest businessman you've ever met. So anyway, and when I sold the company, I had 42% market share. I'm in every PX in the world, every Sam's, every Walmart, computer stores, and Nebraska Furniture Mart. If you've got an electronic Bible, an electronic reference, probably my millions of dollars typed it in 1988. And I gave it away. Didn't copyright it. It's a work product, but you didn't copyright it. And then I was able to walk away from it. It was this time to go into federal workers' comp and VA disability.
All right. Well, with that, Maya, hi again to you, but we are at the top of the hour. So submit your question if you have one to askdocellis.com. Any final words?
God bless you all.
All right, and
including our attorneys. Come on, guys. You know, even though I kick you if you don't know the stuff, but I love our law. Our judicial system is the best mankind's ever come up with, okay?
all right. With that, we will see you next month.